Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Donnelly. I'm an expert in distilled spirits with 9 years experience in the alcoholic beverage industry, and my goal is to educate consumers more about the alcoholic beverages they enjoy so they can make better shopping and drinking decisions. Today we're going to be talking about a very polarizing product, Fernet-Branca. Some people love it, some people hate it. I personally absolutely love it. So here is what the iconic bottle looks like. If you've ever spent any time around a bar, you've probably seen this bottle, this logo, this label. Maybe you have a bartender friend with the bottle or the logo tattooed on their body somewhere. Fernet-Branca definitely has a cult following. It's often referred to as the bartender's handshake, kind of a if you know, you know type thing. So it's very, very beloved here in the United States by the service industry crowd. Let's taste this. So if you've never tasted Fernet-Branca before, it is a very unique flavor profile. Some people love it, some people hate it. Again, I said it's very polarizing, but I've been told that if you follow this particular process for tasting it, it will really help highlight how complex the spirit is. But if you love Fernet just like me, you're probably used to sipping it slowly after a long and full meal or having a beer and a shot with your favorite bartender. So, how to properly taste Fernet? It takes 3 easy steps. The first step is take the first sip and pause after a few seconds to introduce yourself to the decisive bitter tone of the Colombo, Aloe, and the unmistakable characteristic of Gentian. And that's Gentin. All right, first sip. Pause after a few seconds to introduce yourself. All right, small first sip, and then I'm going to pause, hold that spirit in my mouth before spitting. So again, you might feel the alcohol a little bit. Let's see, what is Fernet? Fernet is bottled at 39% ABV. All right, so your mouth's warming up to the alcohol. Definitely getting that strong aloe taste, which you might not think is enjoyable, but it really works with this. Again, I've never heard of or I've never had Gentian, Gentin, or Colombo, Colombo, so I can't quite speak to what those taste like. But the second step will reveal the distinct spice flavor of Zedoary, that's Zedoary, which is from the ginger family, and the full flavor of chamomile. All right, let's take a second sip. Oh, wow. God, the whole flavor profile changes. Like it feels like you're drinking almost like a completely different spirit. The alcohol is completely faded. And God, you really are getting more spice. That aloe, which is so prevalent in Fernet when you drink it as a shot, has faded completely. It's got the spice to it that really lingers at the front of your mouth. I definitely don't know what Zedoary is, but I've had ginger and I've had chamomile. And it's still got this kind of earthy spot. I feel like there's so many layers of flavor happening right now. It's hard to pick any one out. Let's look at step 3. Step 3 is the overall richness for Fernet. The overall richness of Fernet-Branca is not revealed until the third and final sip, when the balanced bitter aftertaste prevails over the spicy tones of myrrh. And that's Myrrh. So think gold, frankincense, and myrrh from the Bible. All right, sip number 3. Cheers. they're right. It's not bitter. It doesn't have the pronounced like spice of the second sip or the herbalness of the first sip. It's got something else entirely. It's like the third sip is literally the culmination of the previous flavors. It's like you're almost like layering bricks of flavor. And that third sip is like this sum is greater than the means. Like it's just this really pleasant, like it's much more pleasant. I really love that sharp aloe flavor from shooting Fernet, if you just take it all in one sip. But when you slowly sip it over 2, 3, 4 sips, in this case they're saying 3 sips, when you slowly sip it over 3 sips, it really changes. And God, it's got a long finish, complex flavors, and it's really hard to pick out. I mean, I'm looking at notes on how to taste this, and I'm still struggling to verbalize what I'm tasting, but I find it really pleasant. Again, I love Fernet. I love all forms of Fernet. I love it at sip 1, sip 2, and definitely on sip 3, but it's really nice, and it's really cool, and this kind of exercise is just meant to highlight the complexity of this product, and, it's just an exercise that most people don't do. Even people that love Fernet, even people that have Fernet tattoos on their body are not doing this exercise where they're sipping it 3 sips back to back to back and really examining how that product changes on their palate. So this was really cool. And the tasting notes for Fernet-Branca are, and the aroma is described as herbal with electric notes of anise, bitter orange, citrus, saffron, spice, and mint. The palate is described as citrus marmalade flavor, complemented by a blend of butterscotch, graham cracker, and cocoa. And the finish is described as sweet and powerful, accented by espresso and campfire notes. And as I mentioned earlier, Fernet-Branca is known as the bartender's handshake. So a shot of Fernet can prove that you're a hospitality industry insider. If you don't want to shoot Fernet, and you don't want to sip it slowly over 3 different sips, how else can you enjoy this product? Well, the 2 recommendations are the Hanky Panky, which, great cocktail name. That's 2 dashes of Fernet, 1.5 ounces of Carpano Antica. So Carpano Antica is a super premium vermouth from Branca, and it is the trade-up option from the regular Carpano vermouth line. And as you might remember from some of my previous videos, Carpano Antica is my absolute favorite cocktail vermouth, especially for whiskey-forward cocktails. 1.5 ounces of gin, and you're garnishing with an orange peel twist. Add all the ingredients to a mixing glass and fill with ice. Stir, strain into a chilled cocktail glass, garnish with the orange twist. There's your Hanky Panky. And if you want to keep it really simple, you can just do as the Argentinians do and have Fernet and Cola. First time I ever had Fernet and Cola, I was doing a backpacking trip through southern Mexico. I was staying in a hostel in Bacalar, and there was this group of Argentinian travelers, and they had like a 2-liter bottle of Coke. They were sharing this 2-liter of Coke, and they'd cut off the top part, kind of at the very top of the label, and they had just mixed in their Fernet directly in this 2-liter of Coke, and were just passing it around as part of their pregame. And that was the first time I was ever introduced to Fernet and Coke, and particularly how much the Argentinians love Fernet and Coke. I've never been to Argentina, but that was my first experience of drinking Fernet and Coke, or how much the Argentinians apparently love Fernet and Coke, and it is delicious together. The sweetness of the Coca-Cola works with the bitter herbalness of the Fernet, and it's just a perfect combination, and it's so simple. Another Fernet cocktail I really enjoy is using Fernet not as the primary spirit, but as a secondary spirit for an old-fashioned. So you can take a bourbon or a American rye old-fashioned, and rather than using perhaps a 2 full ounce pour of the bourbon or the rye, just do 1.5 ounces and then replace that other 1/2 ounce with Fernet-Branca. It just provides this nice supporting flavor, and it doesn't take over the whole cocktail, but by creating these layers of spice and sweet and bitterness, it really creates a complex and very tasty but very simple cocktail. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, maybe even learned something. If you'd like to be notified whenever I have new content on my website or this YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to my email newsletter. I'll leave a link below in the description. If you don't care about the video component of these videos, I would suggest checking out my podcast. It's just the audio of these brand educational and review videos. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it wherever you consume your podcasts. If you are a supplier and you would like to see one of your brands featured on my channel, please shoot me an email. I'll leave a link below in the description. I'd love to have that conversation. Thank you so much again for watching, and as always, please drink responsibly.